Hello and welcome to the Bucket List Show. I'm Tammy Crandall with Journey Venture Travel and Tours and Barron Real Estate, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Rebecca Denise with Barron Real Estate as well as Superior Storage.
We are here to serve you, to help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. And what that means for each and every one of us is so different. We say this over and over, but anything that you can think of off the top of your head, whether it's writing a book, putting together poetry, painting. Maybe you've always wanted to paint for the first time. Pick up that ukulele and learn how to play. Those are all fun things that people think about, but they never implement, right?
And we started the show because the intention was for everybody to have the abundant life, and it's not just monetary, but we wanted to have a platform because we all walk around with our to-do list, and we have that calendar, and all the stuff that we need to do, but a lot of it doesn't have our personal stuff.
Yeah, and it really does not. And truth be told, there is nothing more personal or larger than making a commitment to buy a home.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So periodically on the show, we kind of bring some numbers together. So the Realtors Association has come out with new numbers at the tail end of April. So we're going to go over some of those things today, just to kind of give you a glimmer and a glimpse into what's going on in today's market here on the Treasure Coast.
Correct. Yeah. Nice, easy format too.
We're going to start with the 34986 area code. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's predominantly in that St. Lucie West Torino area. And, things are still very active in the market there today. So right now, that inventory for homes that were for sale in the month of April closed out at 411 homes.
Wow.
They had 63 new pending sales. 100 new listings. So people are still making changes or moving. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're moving out of our area.
Right.
It could mean that either they're downsizing their home or they're upcycling their home, that sort of thing.
And that's important because, it shows that people are still moving all over, 411 new. But if we look at the new listings, that's actually up 11% from last year.
That's true. That's
so
absolutely
the activity
true.
is still happening, and my opinion, it's probably relative all over. It doesn't matter if you're in Tampa, Florida, or you're up in Connecticut. I still think you're seeing people are moving.
Yeah, and median home prices are softening up just a little bit, right?
A little
Since
bit of relief.
A year ago, it's gone down by about 11%. So that
number.
median sale price in that 86 area code is at $381,000. So still in a more affordable level for some of the people in our area. They actually closed 55 sales in the month of April. This year, that's actually up 1.9% from a year ago.
So it's funny how the numbers just move. A lot of information.
If we were to try to make a comparison to a different location, so we're going to look at 34983, and that particular area closed out their inventory at the end of April at 316. That's up 37% from a year ago. People have their homes listed, and as well as they have 120 new listings that closed out in that area as new listings at the end of April, up 24% from a year ago.
And the 34983 area is not, obviously it's different than the 34986, which is more by PGA, tradition, that area for those that are local. So the 34983 is a little bit more of the older inventory of Port St. Lucie, but if you drive through those areas, they are renovating these homes.
Oh, sure.
So you're starting to see a little bit more sales that way.
Well,
and obviously up 24% for the listings.
Right.
There's traffic there.
Well, and then let's not forget, there was a lot of renovating that really took place, right at that post-COVID stage.
Right.
So if you're looking in 2020, 21, people were, really super safe about staying where they're at, but they wanted to have a home that they were comfortable in having to be hunkered down in, if you will.
Right.
But that median sale price really went down a little bit. Again, I told you the market
Yep.
softened just a little bit. So 350,500 is a medium, sale price for homes in that A3
But, you know,
area.
in that area, the volume was 29 million.
I know, isn't that
compared
amazing?
to by like the PGA, that area code was 22.
Right,
So
right.
it really,
Well,
so
and there's a
people
lot
are-
of families in
Right.
that A3 area code, family style homes
Right.
of all ages.
And it's it's not just new construction. Obviously, we have a huge amount of new construction here, but it just shows you that it's moving all over the place. The traffic and people are moving and shifting.
Absolutely,
So pretty
absolutely.
neat.
We're going to shift a little farther east and south of there, which is in the 34952 area code in Port St. Lucie. These are everything we're discussing today is for single family homes specifically. That's our focus. But again, that inventory, active inventory for homes that are for sale,
Wow.
is at 27% higher than the year prior. 260 homes that are
Wow.
considered active inventory at the end of April. We had 74 new listings in the month of April
Wow. A lot of
this year in that area code alone. And that's down about 27% from a year ago. So they've actually slowed down their listings. You'll notice it fell under that 100 mark,
Right.
from
Yeah.
the others. And and the sales still healthily closed, about
Yeah.
56 sales closed.
Still a
from
healthy
that year.
market.
It is.
And just as a little side note, so we're concentrating on St. Lucie County. If there's a county that you want and you want it in maybe Texas or Connecticut or a different part of Florida, that's something that Tammy and I, we could help you with to give you the same information. We're just trying to, isolate right here in this pocket, this market.
Right. And we do try to focus too on some of those areas that really kind of border our space. Our concentration is actually going to be south of the Port St. Lucie line. So we're going to just jump right into Palm City.
Yep, perfect.
Okay. So Palm City, they actually increased their inventory. It's up 33%
Wow.
for inventory that's up. 296 homes at the end of April. Newer listings are down only about 6.8% from the previous year, with 69 listings. Those sales pending.
Sorry.
Median sale prices in the Palm City area went down 5.4%. That's really not a lot on the grand scheme of things in 1 year, but that median sale price, if you're looking at single family homes in Palm City,
Yeah.
$609,000.
Right. And that's why
Beautiful.
their total volume was 40 million.
That's right. Even though it had dropped by 19%, right?
But it tells you that people, they're going to the surrounding areas.
Yes.
And obviously they're going north and then they're going to go east towards
Absolutely.
Okeechobee. So,
Absolutely.
the market's moving.
That's right. So we're going to take a little turn, go a little farther east of Palm City,
Yep.
Kind of in the heart of Martin County, which is Stewart. Okay, and that's 34994. That area code there. Active inventory up 57%. Only 58 homes though. That's a little bit different.
It is different, but the median sales price went up 34%.
Now, why do you think that is? With some of the things that we've been looking at in the last couple of months, how many new developments are going up in Stewart?
Just added
There you
Costco.
go.
There's a lot of businesses that way
Yeah,
too.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of economic developmental changes
And
going
Stewart's
on
beautiful.
throughout Stewart.
Yeah.
So that median sale price is now up to $670. So if you are that seller, just be happy in knowing
You got
that those sale
34%
price.
increase.
That's right. You're going up.
And then, for someone who's looking to buy for the first home, and depending on your budget, you have choices. Port St. Lucie, 34986 is 381, but depending on what price range you're in, you have an opportunity to look at different places.
That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, they didn't close as many sales in Stewart as they did in some of these other areas that we talked about. But again, that has a lot to do with median sale price. A person's got to fit into a certain pocket, to be able to afford those
Correct.
homes.
Yep.
But just know that they are still pretty active and continuing to be active in the Stewart
Yeah,
area,
yeah,
in that space.
All these areas are just
Right.
beautiful. I mean, Florida is paradise regardless of where you buy. Our role is just to help you, do that needs analysis and figure out what it is that you
Yeah,
could
what are
afford
we doing?
and
What do we got
how do you
going
want to
on,
live your
right?
life and all that good stuff.
And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention little old Jensen Beach.
I know.
We absolutely love Jensen Beach. At one point in history was the pineapple capital of the
I know,
world.
right?
You know, outside of Hawaii.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, just a little fun factoid there. But they had active inventory actually up 50%
Wow.
from the previous year at 169. That has a lot to do with development.
Correct.
You know, so it's not just old homes. And again, that transition for people when they're making changes in their lives. You know, I mean, we bought our home in this area back in '04. We're slightly older than we used to be, you know, just a little bit. And we built a monstrosity of a home. So more than likely our next step is going to be to downsize,
Right.
you know, that home. So at some point, there are people that are downsizing. There are people who are taking over those homes that were larger for families.
Yep.
Those things all play a part. Interestingly, that median sale price in Jensen actually went up 2.1%. From a year ago. So the median sale price for a single family home is $530,000. They actually have active inventory of 169. I think we stated that. New listings are 41. And they actually closed 32 sales
So
in
that's
the month of
busy.
April. So it's
Yeah,
still
so-
a busy. People
Yeah.
who think that the market here has slowed down, they are sorely mistaken. We are still one of the hottest areas here on the Treasure Coast, whether you're going from Jensen, Stewart, Palm City, various zip codes. The city of Port St. Lucie is huge,
Right.
and just has a myriad of different zip codes. So
And it's growing. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they're building 3 new schools, and
They
have
are.
the
They
park and
are.
Cleveland Clinic. I mean, you know, and then obviously all the surrounding towns, you know,
Well, even
Stewart and Jensen
even in
Beach,
the
they're great.
areas that I live in, there's so much growth going up and down that Gatlin corridor.
Yeah, all the
if
commercial.
you head out, yes, all of the commercial space, unbelievably huge.
Yeah.
And it's kind of refreshing to see
Yeah.
to a certain degree
All
because you've
these
got
new places to try.
places to try, not only for eating, but also for helping you with your health, or finding these little boutique shops
love
that
those,
sell different
I'll wear what
items of
she's
clothing to
wearing.
wear. Exactly. I'll wear it. Yeah, we're going to throw that plug out there for your
Port St.
friend.
Lucie.
That's right, Port St. Lucie. I'll wear what she's wearing. We love
Yeah.
that place. But there are other shops as well over on the Gatlin corridor that sell those types of things. So
Even all the growth in Fort Pierce, you know, they they approved a huge water wave surfing park. Not sure the exact name. You know, the motel or the hotel. So I think there's great things happening through this whole corridor. And you know, the market's there if you want to buy, sell, or invest and build wealth. That's where we could help you. There's still great opportunities for investment properties. So regardless of the numbers, there's always pockets, there's always ways that we could help you, you know, buy, sell, or invest.
Yeah. Well, and Koa Bay is a prime example. You mentioned the surf park earlier,
Yes,
so
yeah,
I'm just going to throw
yeah,
it
go
out
ahead.
there. So, you think surf park, you're like, oh, great.
That's the great-
That's right.
I
That's
know.
right. So, Koa Bay, so kind of stay tuned for that. There's going to be areas there you can literally learn how to surf. It's probably going to build larger waves than what we really actually get here off the coast of
It's
Florida.
amazing how everything's changed.
But they're going to have a wonderful bay there. You're going to have opportunities for people to live a resort lifestyle, whether that is going to be, whether you choose to have a home yourself there, or if you choose to purchase a unit,
Right.
and then use that as a seasonal rental.
And
So,
whereabouts is this complex going up again? I can't
that's
remember.
a great question.
I know it's
I
local.
just don't. Somewhere in Fort Pierce.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I just wanted to
No,
make sure.
that's all right.
So it is Fort Pierce.
It is considered a Fort Pierce
It's,
address. I personally don't know the exact address,
Yeah,
but
I
we'll
think
get
it's
that
over
for you.
by the new bridge and the marina that it's over there. But it's just another example of the economic growth. I mean, I went to Costco that's in Stewart now. So the farthest Costco would have been West Palm Beach, would have been over an hour.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The amount of people at this Costco. Beautiful store. I was excited that it was there, but let me tell you, it was busy. But it just shows that there's just such a need. You know, I mean, if you look at Aldi's, they're sprouting up. Even Publix is
Yeah,
now coming
yeah.
to certain communities. I'm out in Sebastian, and they're building another new community there. But within this community, will be a Publix, similar to Tradition, where they have the Aldi's and the Publix also.
Oh, yes,
So the
absolutely.
idea is that you know, if we look at that walk-in measurement, someone, you know, may want to live in a certain development that everything is there. I would like that. That works for me. Ride my bike to the store, I'm good.
I mean, we've talked about Koa Bay, you know, where they include a variety of things like the surf pool, the bungalows that they have. They've got a skate park and some other amenities. You know, they're already breaking ground on the lake at Koa Bay. You know, so that's being launched. They're going to be building a resort hotel and some commercial
beautiful.
properties there. So that's just one example.
And-
Another example, just south, if we were to go south into Port St. Lucie, Citrus Boulevard is no longer Citrus Boulevard because it is now Newfield, right?
Yeah.
So even that whole farming style community, you know, and where they have an open market where you can go, your fresh
Yeah.
fruits and vegetables
Yep.
there. So definitely check out Newfield as well.
I think things are changing. So if we look about Tampa, so my daughter lives in a Lennar complex, but what they're building besides the pool is they're building these huge lagoons.
Yes.
And it's this massive pool that you could swim and exercise. And as owners, you know, I think they pay like a couple dollars to get in. But, you know, they're building that on site. Also, she has a farm. So they could go to the farm within this community. On Saturday nights, they do wine and cheese, they do tea and coffee,
Yeah.
and it's becoming a way of life.
So nice
And-
social activities.
And the healthiness, the idea that they have a farm, you know,
Yep.
really, we just, our food is so important.
It is.
And if these builders are realizing that health and wellness now ties into our food
Mm-hmm.
and the swimming and the idea that you have these big lagoons, I mean, it really is, you know, they're trying to make it that you could live and play where you are, and that includes your family and your children, just like Koa Bay, to have a skate park. These are things that you want for your children.
Absolutely.
So, you know, maybe they could live a better quality life as we move forward for all of us, health-wise and everything. But I want to move to Koa Bay. So, but it just tells you that there's opportunities all over Florida. You know, we have fabulous builders. We have so many communities. I mean,
Oh, we do.
anytime if you want to do a tour of a community, again, you could reach out to Tammy and I, and you know, we could plan a tour day. That was always on
and
my
we do,
list, my bucket
and that's
list.
always our thing to
I
do. We
know.
like to do
I
those
gotta
types
write
of
that down.
things with groups of people. So if you're wanting to take some time to check out an
Yeah.
area like Newfield, Koa once it gets
Yeah, we
open,
could do a
or some of these others.
Caravan of new construction tours.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yep.
there's so much building going on. The opportunities are just
It's,
endless.
You know, yeah,
you
it's,
know.
I think if you hit any neighborhood or any of the area towns or the counties, you're gonna see it. And it's not just residential, it's commercial, it's, you know, economic growth with all these new coffee shops or these boutiques, which I think is fabulous, because we wanna help small business. Nothing wrong with the big box, but we wanna make sure, you know, we're helping
Well,
the small,
and
like we
what
went
that
to the
tells
shop
you-
last week. You know, we
Yes, we
wanna
did.
reach out and help people.
And it just tells you, you know, that, you know, our economy, as much as it seems, you know, there are still jobs out there. There,
Yes.
people are still thriving. You just got to look for the right pockets.
Yeah.
We came across a coffee shop, and I don't
know.
remember what the name of the coffee shop was. Wasn't really, you know. Now, of course, you know, Rebecca and I are a little older, and you
Kelly.
know, yes, and we melt in the sunshine.
Yeah.
So, which
We
is why-
need it inside.
Which is, yes, we need an inside coffee shop. But they have this wonderful coffee shop there off of Gatlin, where you can either go through their little drive-through, or they have like a serve-up window, and it's
Yeah.
like an organic shop. So those types of things are popping up. You know, I think people are seeing the need for us to cater to a lot of our young folks
Right.
here. You know, they want to have, you know, us having a way of life here is not just about the seniors. You
No,
know,
it's
about
everybody.
providing an amazing way of life for
But if
young
we
people.
look at when we, you know, so Tammy and I were both bankers, I mean, you know, 30, 40 years
Yeah.
ago, you know, customers came to us. That's how we built the relationship on the teller
Absolutely.
line or whatever. But now for this generation, even for us, when we do business, we want to go to a coffee shop. We don't have that traditional office with
That's
the suit
correct.
and the stocking.
Yeah.
So when you meet people and
goodness
you're
for that.
trying to build relationships, you know, when you go to these networking events, I mean, you want to follow up and go to these coffee shops.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big fan of coffee shops. Gilbert's,
too.
Cali, you
I
know,
am
they're
too.
all just wonderful.
Although, you know, they're really cool. The little taco shop we stopped in.
That
was
taco
pretty
shop
cool.
was actually really
That
good
was
too.
really good.
Yeah, so you got to go drive down Gatlin Boulevard. There's a lot of new commerce, excuse me, And so it's definitely fun. So you want to take a break, maybe?
Yeah, maybe we should do
Okay.
that. Take a break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Journaventure Travel and Tours, where it's about your journey, not just the destination. Picture a world full of amazing places yet to be discovered. Where do you begin? Whether your bucket list includes cruising in the Caribbean, exploring vast nature in Alaska, or experiencing exotic worldwide places, we're here to help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. Your journey begins from the moment you let go and let us handle the details for you. So call us today. Journaventure Travel and Tours, 772-882-3165.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Rebecca Denise. I'm with Barron Real Estate as well as Superior Storage, and my co-host Tammy.
Yes.
So we were talking about the real estate market here locally. We certainly could share information if it's in a different state or county. But the one thing we also want to share is just a little bit about rates. So we hear this constantly within the market. The Fed's going to reduce rates. They're going to increase rates. President Trump may do something. You know, when it comes to the mortgage rates, it's such a tricky thing to predict. There's more measures than just the mortgage rate for the end
True that.
customer. You know, and it kind of flows from California to here. So for today, if you did a 30-year fixed, you're right around 6.86. So, you know, 6 3/4, and that's a 30-year. If you wanted a 15-year, you're probably around 6%. So the one thing I know as a past banker, people would get so upset about the rates, and the rate is important. That's obviously going to determine your P&I. But in most cases, you're not going to live at that house for 30 years.
Yeah, not a lot of people do that today.
No.
They have a tendency to purchase. They'll stay in it for a few years. They'll sell the house, take some equity out of it, and either increase their wealth by putting some money in the
Right.
bank, or they'll
Right.
invest that equity money into a house that was really more of their dream home versus the one they
Right.
started with.
And what I would tell my customers, you know, if you think you're going to stay 30 years and you're concerned about the rate of 6.75, there's a lot of things you could do to work with your bank. So instead of paying one monthly payment, maybe you do it bi-weekly, and you're going to reduce the finance
That's
charge,
right.
so you're lowering that 6.875 or what I said. But you're escalating the amortization. So now that 30-year loan, if you stayed 30, or maybe 22, 24. So there's a lot of ways to
Yeah,
circumvent
there's
that.
all these little tricks, right?
Yeah.
You know, like if you knew that you wanted to make sure that you kind of had a safety position,
Yep.
you put yourself into a 30-year fixed rate loan, and then you pay it like it's a 15.
Right, and you get that.
Pay it like it's a 15, and then, you know, you can't foresee what's going to happen in
Right.
your life sometimes. So say something happens 10 years down the road, and you can't make as high a payment as you were
Correct.
required to if you had taken it out as a 15-year loan. So now you're in a position to drop it down to what the actual loan payment
Right.
was, but at the same time, you accelerated your payments. You're going to get that loan paid much, much earlier.
And I think the advantage that Tammy and I have, at least regarding the finance piece, is we were both bankers for over
Oh,
30
yeah.
years. So if it was residential, commercial, you know, we had teams, and that's what we did. So you need to align with the correct partners and build that team. That's
Right.
what we could offer, because we understand the finance side. And, you know, maybe it's not a 30-year fixed you want. Maybe you work for a relocation company and you're only going to be here for 5 years. So maybe you want a 5-to-1 arm. But these are the things that we're going to help you when we do a needs analysis. So we will get you aligned with the right banker.
Right. And we have tremendous banking
We do.
partners, whether they're bank partners or mortgage broker
Right, local
partners.
banks.
So regardless of what your situation is, we have partners
Yeah.
that can tailor you know, your loan to you based on your needs. You could be a self-employed individual.
Right.
Your needs are going to look a little different than someone who's working for
Correct.
another company. You know, just because of the way that you pay yourself, those
Right.
types of things can make a difference as to what's the best lender to go to for
Correct.
someone who's in my particular situation. And
Right.
that's where Rebecca and I can offer those things to you. So the great thing is, you know, I think sometimes, Rebecca, the number one question that comes up for a lot of people is, Well, it's not so much that I can't afford the home, and I even have a little money socked away to help, to put some money down or secure that earnest money when I go to make an offer. But I'm really concerned about the down payment
Right.
side of things. So what do I do in that, that perspective? Well, we have an answer for that, don't we?
You call us, no?
That's right. Yeah, you call us. We have an answer for you, and we're going to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
just a couple of things that could make
Right.
things a little less painful on the closing cost side.
And it's
of
hard to
things.
begin. So, either you're a first-time home buyer, and the definition of that is that you haven't owned in the last 3 years, or you're a repeater buy and sell. It's a large transaction.
It
You
is.
don't know where to start. Then you go on the internet. You just want to find out one question, and then you're being pre-qualified through something. That's
And
not
you're getting
what you
more phone calls
want.
than you
Right.
care to get from everybody under the
Yeah.
sun who has no idea who you are.
I think that the starting point is talking to someone, because you may not have that down payment. So
Well,
then
and that's
what?
true. That's true. So then what's the next step
Right.
at that point? So, there are several things out there. One that is open back up is the Hometown Heroes
Yep.
program,
Great
which
program. Mm-hmm.
actually helps with down payment and closing cost assistance.
Yep.
There are always, guidelines for that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, those Hometown Heroes can be a myriad of people, right?
Correct.
So, whether you're a firefighter, you could be a nurse.
CNA.
Yes,
Yeah.
CNA. So people don't, sometimes all you think about is the firefighters,
Right, yeah.
or the policemen.
Doctors, nurses.
Yes.
And the idea of the hometown heroes is that's just it. They are the heroes. They're the one that is keeping us together if there's emergency or we're sick
Oh,
or school or
absolutely.
safety. And we want them to live and play, Florida's law, within the counties that they live.
Yes.
So
yes.
we want them close by if there's an emergency. So that is important. That's a great program, and it's all over Florida.
Right. And it certainly will help you, if you qualify to get the things that you need for
Yep.
down payment assistance and or closing cost
Right.
assistance. So that's just one example. Another example, and a lot of people are not aware
I know.
of this, is that the realtors of the Broward, Palm Beaches, St. Lucie,
Mm-hmm.
we're all part of the same conglomerate, and that is that we have what's called the St. Lucie Charitable Foundation,
Right.
and that helps people. It's a 501c3, and that foundation raises, distributes funds to assist with home purchases within the county.
Right.
And of course that's to help with down payment assistance.
Right, and that's
Or closing
$2,500,
costs.
if you're eligible. And there's so many little pockets of information, and when you pick your realtor or your banker, however you do it, that needs analysis is important for your realtor to know. I could get you $2,500, and I can
Yeah.
help you. And these are the little gifts that knowledge and sharing it
Right,
is
right,
important.
right.
And we get away from the stigma. Like another program is the FHA. Great program.
Oh, it is an
It's
amazing
meant
program.
to
Very
promote
organized.
home ownership. And it has nothing to do with how much your assets are. There's a lot of reasons someone would go with an FHA loan.
Right.
And it's nothing to do just generally with wealth.
Well-
It's just you may want to invest your cash in the market, whatever you're doing. So you only put down 3.5%, and then maybe you make money up on the other side.
Right, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't even realize, we've heard a lot of squawking, and I say that very loosely,
Yeah.
but we hear a lot of squawking, from people that the rents are so high
Yeah.
here in this area. It's really a struggle for a lot of young people. So, it may behoove you
Right.
to take a look and see what would it take for me to buy a home versus renting my space. You may be pleasantly surprised,
Yes.
that you could be building some equity in an investment. What do we say? The best investment that we have here on earth is dirt.
Yep.
So
We want the land.
you want the land that you sit on. So
But it's true, and if someone's paying, $2,500 for rent, and they require 3 times that to see if you qualify, and renting is great. I mean, that's another program, and there's a lot of reason people choose to do that besides buying. But if you do want to own, or at least have that conversation,
Exactly.
you know, it takes, you know, someone, a good realtor, strong realtor, to understand the ins and outs. And if you met with someone, you know, then you could ask those questions, because your scenario is totally different than mine and someone else's, and your needs are.
Well, and it's important to, you know, work within the confines of a variety of different resources that are out there as well. So, for example, if you are a veteran,
Yep.
if you are a veteran and you are within our area here, and or even areas of the other country, either you're relocating here or for some reason you're being deployed to another area, the National Veterans Alliance is another great partnership
program.
for us to be able to help you get with the right partners, your realtors, your lenders, all of those things that typically offer a bit of a discount for our
Correct.
veterans. It's the least that we could do
Absolutely.
for the sacrifice that you have made as a veteran here in the United States. So, you know, make sure you hook up with us
Right.
in
And-
regards to these things as well, because we can get you the right programs that are specific to you.
VA is a great product, a great loan. We both have done tons of them, and they deserve to be able to take what we've given them with the VA loan. So that's 100% financing, a better rate, a little bit less stringent, but it has nothing to do on the bearing of wealth or money.
That's
or
right.
it's, you know, it's not a negative thing. They served, so we created this program for them. And the National Veteran Alliance is just another way to say, we hear you, we see you. It's our
Right.
time to serve you now.
Right, and it's a consortium, like a full consortium
Yeah.
of groups that consist of realtors all over the country,
Bankers.
bankers,
Yeah.
title companies, all of these companies coming together and providing something back to the veterans who provided the livelihoods that we have
Yeah,
here
and
today.
that's important. You know, so it's another great program. I mean, the state of Florida has, you know, down payment assistance, there's closing costs, you know, and again, a first-time home buyer, someone who hasn't owned in 3 years. So, you know, for most people, we could find a program. And for the ones that we can't, we could map it out that if it's 6 months or 8 months, we could get you to that goal.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And
if
can
we don't
help you
have
with
the
that.
answer, we'll find, you know, the
We'll find somebody who
banker, the
does.
title company that could join us and help.
And well, and as I mentioned before, you know, sometimes people restrict themselves to the banking environment, and that's not a bad
Right.
thing.
No, I
you
know,
know.
yep.
But at the same time, sometimes you got to be creative,
Yes.
and you'd be surprised the number of private financiers that are out
Mm-hmm.
there that I've helped people that I know.
Right.
Get into a home when the normal course of things just would not have worked for
Yeah.
them, but they had good, viable companies,
Right.
and the private lender could see that. They could see, based on the evidence of what they had done
Right.
in the history of their lives, that they could see that they had the ability to take care of things.
Yeah, listen,
So-
there's always an option. There's something that we could find or map it out. And, you know, if it's credit repair, we could help with that. If you think you have a job gap, you know, maybe we could help explain that. You know, it's such a big story on a mortgage and
It
a
is.
finance. But, you know, you just got to go through it step by step.
Right, and really what
And
we
make
do,
it easy.
well, and really what we do, you know, we're in the people business.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
we'll talk.
It's all about people. So we sit down, we have a conversation, we
Yeah.
determine what it is that's going to be right for you.
Yep.
You know, we have been all over the county, really tri-county
Yeah.
area, quad county area, really, if you want to go there. You know, I'm a Florida native myself, grew up in Lake Worth, so, you know, and then of course our transplant from Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm
over
Connecticut,
here, you
soon
know,
to be
so-
Hawaii, no.
That's right, soon to be Hawaii. That's what she desires to do.
We're going.
But there is always so much that we can talk about, and we only have
I
so
know,
much
I
time.
know.
So we'll share that with you another time. But you know, we would love any suggestions that you have to make this show yours, because it is all about you. It is all about filling your bucket so you can live your most abundant life, and only you know what that takes. So if you have ideas or suggestions, please drop us a note on our Facebook
Yep.
page at the Bucket List Show. And we would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, by all means, reach out to me. I'm Tammy Crandall with Turner Venture Travel and Tours and Barron Real Estate, and my number is 772-579-9536.
And I am Rebecca Denise with Barron Real Estate, as well as also Superior Storage. Be kind, everyone.
Thank you.